The great hall of the Altherian palace shone with an otherworldly light. Thousands of floating lanterns glimmered in midair, casting soft reflections on the polished floors. Alien nobles from across the galaxy filled the chamber, their multicolored skins and strange patterns reflecting the unique beauty of countless star systems. The air buzzed with anticipation. Today was the day of Princess Liara's wedding, a union that would solidify alliances and secure the future of her planet. The princess stood behind the ornate doors, her slender form framed by shimmering robes that shimmered like liquid starlight. Her heart, however, was not as radiant as her gown. She had been raised to honor duty, tradition, and family expectations, but there had always been a small, secret part of her that longed for something different, something real. Her eyes flickered to the crowd beyond the doors. Among the alien dignitaries and royal advisors, one figure caught her attention, though he did not know it yet. Captain Aaron Mitchell, a human soldier, stood quietly near the edge of the gathering. He had been assigned as part of a peacekeeping delegation after the recent planetary crisis. Humans were rare here, and most people were curious about him, but he ignored the whispers. His uniform was simple compared to the alien ceremonial attire, but his posture was firm, his gaze steady. Liara took a deep breath and stepped forward. The doors opened, revealing her to the world. Gasps swept through the crowd, not just at her beauty but at the quiet confidence she carried. She moved gracefully down the aisle, her steps measured, her eyes distant yet piercing. The alien noble she was to marry, Lord Vaylor, waited at the altar, adorned in ceremonial armor that reflected the colors of the royal house. He smiled politely, a mask of eagerness hiding any hint of anxiety. As Liara approached, the hall fell silent. Her steps slowed, then faltered. Her gaze swept across the faces of her people, and she saw the eyes of her parents filled with pride and expectation. But then her eyes met Aaron's, and something inside her shifted. Memories of their encounter during the planetary crisis returned vividly. She remembered the day when raiders had attacked the city's outer sector. While most had panicked, the human soldier had charged into danger without hesitation, protecting her with unwavering courage. He had no obligation to do so, yet he had risked everything. His determination, his humanity, had left a mark on her that no amount of royal instruction could erase. A tremor ran through her. She stopped mid-step, raising her hand, and the music halted abruptly. The entire wedding froze. Lord Vaylor's smile faltered. Guests gasped. The king and queen exchanged worried glances. "What is the meaning of this?" the king demanded, his voice echoing in the stunned hall. I cannot proceed," Liara said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "Not until I know what my heart truly wants." Whispers grew into murmurs, murmurs into astonished cries. The high-ranking advisors stepped forward, insisting she must continue. But Liara's gaze remained fixed on the human soldier. She took a few steps back, then another, until she stood fully facing him. Aaron noticed her looking directly at him. His breath caught slightly. He had never imagined a royal would notice him in such a way. A part of him wanted to move forward, to speak, but he held his place, respecting the ceremony and the countless eyes upon him. "Princess Liara," one advisor began, "the protocols, our traditions cannot be ignored. The wedding must continue." Liara shook her head. "Traditions are important, yes," she said, "but they cannot dictate my heart. I will not marry unless it is for the right reason, not merely for alliance or duty." The hall fell into a heavy silence. Even the whispers died, replaced by the weight of anticipation. Liara's words were unprecedented. No princess had ever stopped a wedding, especially not in the presence of so many dignitaries. Some were angered, some were intrigued, all were watching closely. Aaron's eyes held a mixture of surprise and understanding. He remembered their first meeting during the chaos of battle, the way she had trusted him, the quiet strength she had shown under fire. He had admired her courage then, and now he realized her bravery extended to every choice she made. A murmur ran through the crowd as Liara stepped closer to Aaron. "Human," she said softly, "yet clearly, you once risked your life for me. You showed me what courage truly looks like. Tell me, is there more to your world than duty and orders? Can someone be brave and also compassionate?" Aaron straightened, meeting her gaze. "Yes, princess, that is what we try to be. Courage and compassion must go together. or bravery alone is meaningless. Liara's eyes sparkled. The warmth of his words struck her deeply, and for a moment the grandeur of the hall, the alien nobles, the traditions, all of it, faded away. All that mattered was the human standing before her, someone who had seen danger and chosen to protect, someone who had reminded her that choices could be made from the heart. Lord Valor's expression darkened. He had expected compliance, not rebellion. The advisors began muttering amongst themselves, weighing the political ramifications. The king's voice, firm yet tinged with concern, broke the tension. Princess Liara, you must consider the consequences. This decision affects the entire kingdom. Are you certain? Liara nodded. I am certain. I cannot proceed without understanding what my heart wants. And right now, it tells me to look closer at the man who has already shown me more bravery than I have seen in our courts for generations. Gasps echoed. The human soldier was a stranger to most of the court. Yet Liara's declaration had elevated him instantly to a figure of importance. Some aliens looked scandalized, others curious, but Aaron remained composed, understanding the delicate balance he now represented. I respect your choice, Princess, he said carefully, his voice steady. Whatever path you choose, I will support it. Liara's heart warmed. His humility, his respect, and his strength, the combination of all these qualities, was exactly what she had been searching for. She realized that bravery and heroism were not just about fighting enemies. They were about standing firm, speaking truth, and protecting others. The human embodied everything she admired. Then stay by my side, she said, her voice soft but resolute. I need someone to show me the world beyond our palace walls. I need someone who reminds me that courage and heart must guide every choice. Aaron nodded, understanding the unspoken trust she was placing in him. The air in the hall seemed to shift. Where there had been tension and expectation, there was now possibility. A spark of something new, something powerful had ignited. The advisors hesitated, unsure whether to intervene or step back. The nobles whispered among themselves, speculating on what this interruption might mean for alliances, for politics, for the kingdom's future. Some saw scandal, some saw opportunity, but for Liara none of that mattered. She turned to face the crowd, her voice clear and unwavering. I will not marry out of obligation. I will not marry without knowing the truth of my heart. I will make my own choice, even if it defies tradition, and right now my heart is telling me to follow what I see before me. Aaron's gaze met hers again, and this time there was no hesitation. He understood. He had always understood. There was a bond forming, one built not on royal expectations or political strategy, but on trust, bravery, and human compassion. The hall remained silent for a long moment, the air thick with anticipation. Then slowly a few dignitaries began to clap, not out of mockery but out of recognition that something extraordinary was happening. Others joined in hesitantly, unsure but intrigued. The princess had broken tradition, and in doing so she had created a moment that no one would forget. Liara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment and the freedom it brought. She looked at Aaron once more and smiled, a simple gesture that carried a world of meaning. For the first time, she realized that she could shape her own destiny, guided not by tradition alone but by courage, honesty, and the heart of a human who had shown her what true bravery meant. As the floating lanterns shimmered around them, the princess and the human soldier shared a quiet, profound understanding. The wedding might have been stopped, the court might have been shocked, and the kingdom's future might be uncertain. But for Liara, for Aaron, and for the possibilities they now faced together, it was only the beginning. Outside the palace, the stars twinkled like silent witnesses to this unprecedented moment. A human and an alien princess, united not by duty but by trust and courage, had begun a journey that could change the fate of worlds. And deep within Liara, a hope she had never allowed herself to feel before now burned brightly. The hope that the heart could lead her to something extraordinary. The great hall would speak of this day for generations. But for now all that mattered was the connection, the spark and the promise of what was to come. The day after the interrupted wedding, the palace was alive with whispers, speculation, and tension. Courtiers moved quickly through corridors, debating the implications of Princess Liara's unprecedented action. Some viewed it as rebellion, others saw the spark of change, a chance for a new era in the kingdom. But despite the uncertainty, Liara felt a strange calm. Her heart was no longer tangled with duty alone. It was guided by the memory of the human soldier, Captain Aaron Mitchell, and the courage he had shown. Aaron, for his part, remained a quiet presence. He had expected curiosity, perhaps even scorn, but he had not expected the subtle admiration from those who had seen the princess act with her own will. Despite being an outsider, he had become the center of attention, not because of political influence, but because of his character. The idea that a human could inspire such confidence in a princess of an alien world was remarkable. Liara found him in the palace gardens later that day. The gardens were vast, with floating paths of glass over glowing water and plants that shimmered like living stars. It was a space where she could think, where she could breathe freely without the weight of protocol pressing on her. "Aaron," she said softly, stepping onto one of the glass paths. "I wanted to thank you, not just for saving my life before, but for showing me that courage and heart matter more than titles or tradition." Aaron gave a small nod, careful not to overwhelm her with words. "I only did what anyone should do," he replied. "But thank you, Princess. You've shown courage too, standing up for what you believe in." Liara smiled faintly. "I suppose courage looks different when you are expected to follow orders, when your life is measured by appearances and duty. But what you did, it was real. No masks, no expectation, just action." He met her gaze steadily. "That's what humans try to do. Even if we fail sometimes, we try to act with honor. You've seen that, and it seems to matter to you." "It matters," she admitted, "more than I thought possible." Her eyes flicked toward the floating paths and glowing gardens. "But what happens now? The court will not simply accept my choice. Lord Vaylor and the other nobles will push back." Aaron's lips pressed into a thin line. "Then we face it together. You're not alone in this, Liara. Whatever comes, we handle it with courage, honesty, and planning. That is how humans survive challenges, and I believe you can too." Her chest tightened. His words, firm and reassuring, gave her strength. For the first time, she felt that the future could be her own, shaped by choices, not by expectations. She realized that this human soldier had done more than save her physically. He had saved her spirit from the constraints that had defined her life. News of her decision spread quickly through the palace and into the kingdom. Some factions were outraged, insisting that the princess was dishonoring her family. Others began to see the value in her actions. If a princess could act on her own heart, perhaps alliances and decisions could evolve. The idea was revolutionary, and it sparked debate in the council chambers, in the streets, and even among the distant star systems that had sent envoys for the wedding. Meanwhile, a new threat emerged. A rogue faction of mercenaries, seeing an opportunity in the kingdom's momentary instability, planned to strike. They had heard rumors of dissent and wished to take advantage of the uncertainty. Reports reached Liara quickly. While the royal guards moved to secure the palace, she realized that this would be a true test, not only of her courage but of Aaron's humanity and skill. "I need you to come with me," she said to Aaron. "This threat, it won't wait for politics," Aaron nodded. "Lead the way, Princess. We face it together." They moved swiftly through the palace corridors, reaching the outer walls just as the first skirmishes began. The mercenaries were skilled, but they underestimated the palace's defenders and the coordination between Liara and Aaron. She was fearless, giving orders with clarity, inspiring both human and alien soldiers alike. Aaron fought beside her, his movements precise, his strategies efficient. Together they became an unstoppable team. In the midst of battle, Liara observed the human soldier's courage firsthand. He wasn't just strong or skilled. He inspired those around him. Soldiers who had never faced humans before found themselves motivated by his calm decisiveness. Even in the chaos, his presence reminded them that bravery could overcome fear. As the last of the mercenaries were driven back, Liara felt a sense of awe. You saved many lives today," she said, catching her breath. "Not just mine, but everyone here. You've shown them something extraordinary." Aaron shook his head. "I only did my duty. You inspired others to fight and protect too. Leadership is shared." Her smile was soft but full of admiration. "No one else would have done what you did. You've changed the way people see humans, not just as outsiders, but as beings capable of honor, courage, and strategy. You've shown them the best of what we can be." The news of the mercenary attack and its defeat spread quickly. Courtiers, nobles, and even distant envoys marveled at the effectiveness of this human soldier and the princess who had trusted him. The story of Liara's interrupted wedding now had a new chapter, the princess and the human working together to protect the kingdom. In the following days, Liara continued to meet with Aaron. They trained together, strategized together, and explored the palace gardens. She wanted to understand the world beyond her walls, and he shared tales of human ingenuity, resilience, and morality. In turn, she introduced him to her culture, its depth, and its complexities. Together, they discovered how different worlds could complement each other. The king and queen observed cautiously. They had initially been worried about scandal and loss of control, but they could not deny the positive impact. Citizens felt hope, soldiers were inspired, and the kingdom had survived a real threat under the guidance of a human and a princess working in unison. Even Lord Vaylor began to respect the human skill, though grudgingly. One evening, Liara and Aaron stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The sky was filled with stars, the same stars that had witnessed countless generations of tradition. "I never imagined that one human could influence so much," she said softly. Aaron smiled faintly. "One human, perhaps. But it is courage, trust, and action that matter most. Anyone, alien or human, can make a difference if they act with honesty." Liara nodded. "You've shown me that my choices matter, that I don't have to be bound by expectations, that I can lead and follow, act bravely and yet still care for my people." He placed a hand gently on the railing beside hers. "And you've shown me that bravery is universal. It doesn't depend on species or origin. It's about heart, and you have more than most." For the first time, she felt entirely free. She was no longer just a princess fulfilling duty. She was a leader, a protector, and a friend. She looked at Aaron, her eyes reflecting the starlight above. "I want to continue this path with you, not because it is expected, but because it feels right." Aaron met her gaze steadily. "Then we walk together, princess. Whatever comes, we face it side by side." As they stood on the balcony, a quiet understanding passed between them. The kingdom would have to adjust, traditions would shift, and opinions would be challenged. But for Liara and Aaron, it was only the beginning. Their bond, forged in courage and respect, had become a symbol of what humanity could offer the galaxy: resilience, integrity, and the courage to stand for what is right. In the following weeks, the kingdom slowly adapted to this new reality. Citizens admired the princess for her bravery and admired the human for his heroism. Alliances were renegotiated not out of fear but out of respect for action and character. Liara continued to lead with wisdom and compassion, while Aaron became a trusted advisor and protector. Together they inspired a generation to look beyond appearances, beyond species, and see the value of heart and courage. The story of the princess and the human soldier spread beyond their planet. Other worlds took note of the human's bravery and the princess's resolve. They became a living example that one human could change perceptions, challenge traditions, and inspire hope in an alien world. Liara realized that her choice had not only changed her life, but had reshaped the future of her kingdom, and perhaps even the galaxy. As night fell and the stars shone brilliantly above, Liara and Aaron stood together gazing at the horizon. The human's hand rested lightly on hers, a silent promise of trust, partnership, and shared destiny. The future was uncertain, filled with challenges and new adventures, but for the first time it seemed full of possibility. Together they were stronger, braver, and ready to face whatever the universe might throw at them. And so, the princess who had stopped her wedding found her true path, not through obligation, not through tradition, but through courage, trust, and the unexpected bond with a human soldier who had shown her the power of heart. Their journey had just begun, and the galaxy would watch in awe as two beings from different worlds reshaped history together. The story of Liara and Aaron became a legend, a tale of bravery, trust, and humanity shining across the stars. One human had changed the course of an alien kingdom, proving that courage, integrity, and heart could transcend worlds, inspire generations, and redefine destiny itself.